First of all, we must have a lot of energy.
You know, everyone's gonna go gay.
You're gonna turn gay.
On the back of a motorcycle with a little haircut.
That we all have AIDS.
Because we are out there.
Recently I heard one.
One of them.
I mean, I work in retail.
Whatever that means.
And this one has always blown my mind.
Who cares?
You know, he's good to go to for fashion.
The biggest myth, right, is that
Like the queer theory, so that's funny to hear about.
The choice, and that you're choosing to sin.
What have you heard about gay people?
Oh God.
So for instance, you know, you read children in elementary school a picture book in which there are same-sex parents. This is going to turn kids gay, right? This is the big myth that everybody's afraid of. There are two problems with this myth. It's empirically unwarranted. There's just absolutely no evidence that picture books about same-sex parents turn people gay. And the second problem is, who cares, right? Nobody ever worries that a particular kind of book is going to turn somebody engineer or something. That's just a way of being.
Anytime a gay person, a gay character was in a movie or a TV show, they were either, you know, the joke, or they were a very tragic figure because, you know, their life would come to a tragic end or something horrible would happen, something of that sort. I think that's actually changed a fair bit in the media. It's not gone entirely, but, you know, there are at least more, you know, examples of people who can be gay and actually have happy, normal lives, you know, vacuuming the floor and making dinner.
That a predator is necessarily somebody who is gay or lesbian. And this one has always blown my mind.
I've heard people be like, oh, if you're hanging out with the people that are like LGBTQ or whatever, or you're hanging out with the gay people, that you're gonna turn gay. Like that's the big thing, is you're gonna turn.
If we didn't bring it up, it would never occur to a teenager to think about sex.
If you talk about it, they're all, you know, everyone's gonna go gay because apparently being homosexual would be cool and fun.
If we allow this, everyone will become that way, or
That you would be promoting it. I think that that's probably the biggest fear, is that if we're doing LGBT positive education, that all of a sudden we will make it hip and we will all of a sudden have this epidemic of people declaring or suddenly realizing or deciding that that's what's cool and therefore that's the direction that they will go. And I don't think that that's anywhere close to the truth. It's simply about affirmation and acceptance and education, and that's really what we're about. So that's our job, and it's our job as adults in this society to do that.
And of course, nobody, no matter how much information you're given, is any more likely to be gay or straight.
Like I could just be a very flamboyant straight person, which there are many people like that. Or, you know, girls who just like to dress like a boy. Like, I mean, you know, just because every girl that plays hockey, does that mean that they're a lesbian? No. Every guy that likes to go shopping, does that mean that they're a homosexual? No, but it's the stereotypes that people have placed in today's society.
People don't take our relationships very seriously. Like the myth is that we just have relationship after relationship, which is not true. I think that lots of people are in long-term relationships and other people just think, isn't that nice that those two women live together? That we have a hard time being faithful to partners and that we don't stick with partners and that we must be just a little bit crazy in all of our life. So therefore we don't work like regular people, we don't look like regular people.
No makeup, sensible shoes, short hair. You know, I think it's pretty funny. And I think those are the ideas they have, that the women are very masculine, the men are very feminine, and for sure those people are out there, but there's a whole spectrum out there. There's a whole spectrum of straight people, there's a whole spectrum of gay people.
Just the over talked about cliches and stereotypes where, you know, every girl who's lesbian is on the back of a motorcycle with a little haircut, smoking up, and then any guy that's gay is staying home on Saturday nights listening to Liza Minnelli, dancing around in spandex.
No, we're not going upstairs. We don't need to go upstairs. We don't need to see the bedrooms. No, we're fine. And I'm thinking, are you serious? Like, let's not go upstairs and see that.
People who are LGBTQ, intersex, whatever, are basically just sexual deviants, because you're, you know, not normal, so therefore you must be all of these other things that aren't normal, which are bad.
People, again, assume I'm asexual, so whatever.
The community isn't ready is one of my favorites, because if we don't start doing this, how does the community ever get ready?
Better to be able to get out there a good conversation in an open context, because you know they're going to be talking about it somewhere, and if they're not talking about it in a context, maybe with some responsible adults who can sort of steer them towards some real answers or some reality, then they're going to be making up their own realities. Or, I mean, there are lots of places for people to get ideas about sexuality these days, and they're not all great ones.
I think the number one myth and fear that people have is that if you talk to young people about sexual orientation issues or gender identity issues, that they're somehow going to be turned into a gay person or a lesbian person or a transgender person. Every single shred of scientific evidence available shows that that has no impact on the development of sexual orientation in any direction or gender identity, that these things are wired in the brain prior to people being born.
Oh, not at all. I think that people are born, actually I think it's kind of a spectrum, and we're so quick to decide that people are here or here, and I think everyone floats somewhere along that line, and we all have, you know, certain tendencies and choices. We don't choose, you know, throughout our lives to become one way or another. We're born somewhere on that scale, and then various things happen along the way.
You're not going to heaven. You're not going to even be able to get up to the gates. God's not going to accept you because of how you're choosing to live. And it was always, with them, it was always a choice, and that you're choosing to sin. So you are a walking sin because you're choosing it.
They could change their mind and be like everybody else if they wanted to be. This is a more fundamental thing. And I think we have to convince people that these people are who they are. And it's okay to be who you are, and you will be respected, and you will be supported, and you will be we'll find you a way to feel comfortable in the school environment.
And understanding that it's not a choice, and it honestly, I feel, has something to do with the genetics of when you're born, or, you know, something to do with that.
Well, yes, it is a choice in the sense of I could live miserably for my entire life and deny what I am. Wouldn't that be a wonderful life? Or I could actually accept who and what I am and try and figure it out and educate other people that, you know, people like me exist.
It's not a choice.
It's not something that you choose. It's not something that your brain just says, okay, I'm going to be this way. It is that way. You are that way. So nobody can really judge it because that's how you are.
When we don't teach people, though, these things, the adverse impacts come into effect, in that we leave young people floating in a sea of misinformation and stereotypes and a negative knowledge base about their sexuality or their gender identity, and we leave them to fend for themselves in silence.
Just debunk the myths. That's the most important thing.